Abstract organizations face unprecedented environmental turbulence requiring continuous adaptation to survive and thrive. This article examines the interconnected relationship between organizational learning capacity, employee well-being, and shared purpose as critical determinants of adaptive capability. Drawing on organizational theory, positive psychology, and strategic management literature, the analysis demonstrates that organizations integrating these three dimensions achieve superior performance outcomes, including 25 to 40% higher innovation rates and 20 to 30% lower turnover compared to competitors. Evidence-based interventions spanning psychological safety cultivation, continuous learning systems, well-being infrastructure, and purpose alignment are explored through concrete organizational examples across healthcare, technology, manufacturing, and professional services. The article concludes that adaptive capacity emerges not from isolated programs but through systemic integration of learning, well-being, and purpose into organizational DNA, positioning these elements as strategic imperatives rather than discretionary human resource initiatives. Introduction. The half-life of organizational competencies continues to accelerate. What constituted sustainable competitive advantage a decade ago now represents table stakes. Digital transformation, climate imperatives, generational workforce shifts, and geopolitical fragmentation compound to create what scholars term a permanent whitewater environment, veil. 1996. Conditions of persistent, turbulent change that defy traditional planning cycles and static capability development. In this context, organizational survival increasingly depends not on perfecting current operations but on cultivating adaptive capacity, the ability to sense environmental shifts, generate novel responses, and reconfigure resources rapidly. et al. 1997. Yet traditional approaches to building adaptability often fragment across siloed functions. Learning and development initiatives exist separately from well-being programs, which operate independently from culture and purpose work. This fragmentation undermines the very integration required for genuine adaptation. Three interrelated capabilities have emerged as foundational to organizational adaptability. Continuous learning systems that rapidly convert experience into improved performance. Employee well-being infrastructure that maintains the cognitive, emotional, and physical resources adaptation demands. And shared purpose that provides coherence during ambiguity and motivates effort beyond transactional exchange. Deci and Ryan. 2000. Edmondson, 2018. Senge, 1990. Organizations excelling across these dimensions demonstrate measurably superior adaptive performance, including faster response to market disruptions, higher innovation output, and greater resilience during crises. The practical stakes are considerable. Organizations in the top quartile for learning culture achieve 30 to 50% higher revenue growth than peers. Bersin. 2019. Companies with strong well-being programs report 21% higher profitability and 41% lower absenteeism. Gallup. 2020. Purpose-driven organizations outperform the S&P 500 by 42% over 10 years. Gartenberg et al. 2019. Yet these benefits accrue not from isolated initiatives but from systemic integration, creating reinforcing cycles where learning enhances well-being. Well-being enables learning, and purpose energizes both. This article examines how organizations can build adaptive capacity through integrated approaches to learning, well-being, and purpose, offering evidence-based strategies and concrete organizational examples. The organizational adaptability landscape Defining adaptive capacity in contemporary organizations. Adaptive capacity represents an organization's ability to modify strategies, structures, processes, and capabilities in response to environmental change while maintaining identity and performance. Lengnick Hall and Beck. 2005. Unlike operational agility, executing current models efficiently, adaptability involves changing the models themselves when contexts shift. Reeves and Daimler. 2011. 3 interrelated dimensions constitute adaptive capacity. Sensing involves detecting environmental signals, especially weak signals indicating emerging trends. TEAS. 2007. Seizing encompasses rapid decision-making and resource mobilization to capture opportunities or address threats. Transforming represents fundamental reconfiguration of organizational assets, structures, and routines when required. TEAS et al. 1997. Critically, adaptive capacity operates simultaneously at individual, team, and organizational levels. Individual adaptability requires cognitive flexibility, emotional regulation, and continuous skill development. Team adaptability demands psychological safety, shared mental models, and collective learning processes. Edmondson, 1999. Organizational adaptability necessitates dynamic capabilities, ambidextrous structures balancing exploration and exploitation, and cultures supporting experimentation. O'Reilly and Tushman. 2008. The integration of learning, well-being, and purpose directly enables these adaptive mechanisms. Learning systems develop the knowledge and skills sensing and seizing require. Well-being provides the cognitive and emotional resources transformation demands. Resource-depleted individuals cannot sustain the effort. Ambiguity tolerance and creative problem-solving adaptation requires. Hopeful. 2002. Purpose supplies the motivational energy to persist through adaptation's inherent uncertainty and the coherence to maintain organizational identity during change. Quinn and Thaker. 2018. State of organizational practice, the adaptation gap despite widespread recognition of adaptation's importance. Most organizations demonstrate significant capability gaps. Research indicates that only 15% of organizations possess the agility to respond effectively to major disruptions. Worley and Lawler. 2010. During the COVID-19 pandemic, organizations with pre-existing learning infrastructure, well-being support, and clear purpose adapted markedly faster to remote work. Supply chain disruptions and customer behavior shifts. Katz et al. 2022. Several factors drive the adaptation gap. First, short-term performance pressures crowd out investments in adaptive capacity. Learning, well-being, and purpose development generate returns over quarters and years, creating misalignment with quarterly earnings cycles. Laverty. 1996. Second, traditional organizational structures fragment responsibility for these domains. Learning resides in training functions, well-being in benefits or occupational health, purpose in communications or culture teams, preventing the integration adaptive capacity requires. Third, measurement challenges obscure returns on adaptation investments. Learning impact often manifests in improved decision quality or innovation rather than immediate productivity gains. Well-being benefits appear in reduced turnover, absenteeism, and healthcare costs, avoiding negatives rather than creating measurable positives. Purpose impact emerges in discretionary effort and stakeholder trust, which traditional financial metrics struggle to capture. Barton et al. 2017. Finally, many organizations approach learning, well-being, and purpose as programs rather than systems. Training events occur periodically rather than continuous learning being embedded in work processes. Well-being initiatives offer disconnected services rather than comprehensive infrastructure. Purpose becomes marketing language rather than strategic decision-making criteria. This programmatic approach generates limited impact because adaptation requires sustained, integrated capability development. Garvin et al. 2008. Organizations successfully building adaptive capacity treat learning, well-being, and purpose as interconnected strategic priorities requiring systematic investment, integration across functions, and leadership commitment extending beyond immediate performance cycles. # Organizational and individual consequences of adaptive capacity deficits. # Organizational performance impacts. Organizations lacking adaptive capacity experience measurable performance consequences across multiple dimensions. Innovation suffers first and most severely. Companies in the bottom quartile for learning culture generate 47% fewer patents and 32% lower new product revenue than top quartile peers. Bersin. 2019. Without continuous learning systems, organizations recycle existing knowledge rather than generating novel solutions. Strategic responsiveness deteriorates. Research examining organizational responses to disruptive technologies found that firms with weak learning and adaptation capabilities lost an average of 58% market share within 3 years of disruption emergence, compared to 15% losses for adaptive competitors. Christensen and Rayner. 2003. The difference stemmed not from recognizing disruption, most organizations sensed it, but from organizational capacity to learn new competencies and reconfigure resources rapidly enough. Financial performance shows consistent disparities. Organizations integrating learning, well-being, and purpose into strategy demonstrate 25% higher profit margins than industry averages. Gartenberg et al. 2019. This advantage reflects multiple mechanisms: reduced turnover lowering recruitment and training costs, higher engagement driving productivity, innovation creating premium pricing opportunities, and strong reputation attracting customers and talent. Edmonds, 2011. Talent acquisition and retention represent increasingly critical battlegrounds. Organizations with weak learning cultures experience turnover rates 30 to 50% higher than learning-oriented competitors, with costs averaging 50 to 200% of departing employees' salaries when including recruitment, training, and productivity losses. Bersin, 2019. During the Great Resignation of 2021-2022, organizations with strong well-being infrastructure and clear purpose experienced significantly lower voluntary turnover. Sull et al. 2022. Crisis resilience suffers dramatically. During the 2008 financial crisis and 2020 pandemic, organizations with robust learning systems, well-being support, and purpose alignment adapted operational models faster, maintained workforce productivity more effectively, and recovered market position more rapidly than competitors lacking these capabilities. Katz et al. 2022. Reeves et al. 2020. ## Individual well-being and stakeholder impacts. Adaptive capacity deficits impose substantial costs on individuals within organizations. Employees in low-learning environments report 35% higher stress levels and 42% greater burnout risk than peers in learning-rich cultures. Gallup. 2020. The mechanism operates through multiple pathways. Inadequate skill development creates role ambiguity and performance anxiety. Lack of growth opportunities reduces intrinsic motivation. An inability to contribute meaningfully undermines self-efficacy. Bakker and Demaruti, 2007. Cognitive and creative capabilities deteriorate. Chronic stress from adaptation pressure without adequate support impairs executive functions including working memory, attention control, and cognitive flexibility, precisely the capabilities adaptive work requires. Arnsten. 2009. This creates a vicious cycle where adaptation demands exceed individual capacity, generating stress that further reduces adaptive capability. Career development suffers when organizations fail to invest in continuous learning. Employees in such environments develop obsolescing skill sets, reducing both internal advancement opportunities and external labor market mobility. Research indicates that skill obsolescence increases unemployment risk by 40 to 60% during economic downturns. Autor et al. 2003. Well-being impacts extend beyond workplace boundaries. Job stress from inadequate adaptive support correlates with increased cardiovascular disease risk. Depression, anxiety disorders, and relationship strain. Ganster and Rosen. 2013. Organizations essentially externalize adaptation costs onto individual employees' health and personal lives. External stakeholders also experience consequences. Customers of non-adaptive organizations receive products and services failing to match evolving needs. Research in healthcare demonstrates that hospitals with weak learning cultures show 20 to 30% higher adverse event rates because failures don't generate systematic improvement. Edmondson. 2004. Similarly, non-adaptive organizations respond slower to customer feedback, provide less personalized service, and innovate less relevant solutions. Communities suffer when local employers fail to adapt, resulting in layoffs, plant closures, and economic dislocation. The differential between adaptive and non-adaptive organizations increasingly determines regional economic vitality as industry landscapes shift. Moetti. 2012. Evidence-based organizational responses cultivating psychological safety as learning foundations. Psychological safety, the shared belief that interpersonal risks such as speaking up, asking questions, acknowledging errors, or challenging assumptions won't result in punishment or embarrassment, constitutes the foundational enabler of organizational learning. Edmondson. 1999. Without psychological safety, employees conceal mistakes, withhold ideas, and avoid experimentation, preventing the learning adaptation requires. Research demonstrates that teams with high psychological safety generate 25 to 40% more innovations, detect and correct errors 30 to 50% faster, and demonstrate 20 to 35% higher performance on complex tasks compared to psychologically unsafe teams. Edmondson and Leahy. 2014. The mechanism operates through enabling the behaviors learning demands, acknowledging when current approaches fail, experimenting with new methods, seeking feedback, and sharing knowledge freely. Effective approaches to building psychological safety include leader vulnerability modeling leaders explicitly acknowledging uncertainty, mistakes and learning needs signals that such admissions are acceptable and valued rather than career limiting, inquiry-based management replacing directive leadership with genuine questions that surface diverse perspectives and signal that input is valued, failure analysis processes systematic, blame-free examination of failures to extract learning rather than identify culprits, reward experimentation explicitly recognition systems that celebrate thoughtful experiments regardless of outcome, distinguishing productive failure from preventable mistakes, inclusive meeting practices structured turn-taking, anonymous input channels, an explicit invitation of dissenting views to prevent dominance by vocal individuals, response consistency predictable, constructive responses to bad news, preventing the erosion of trust that occurs when leaders react punitively to unwelcome information. Pixar Animation Studios demonstrates sustained psychological safety cultivation supporting adaptive capacity. The company's brain trust process brings together directors, writers, and creative leads to provide candid feedback on films in development. Critically, brain trust members have no authority to mandate changes. Directors maintain creative control, which removes the power dynamics that typically suppress honest feedback. This psychological safety enables extensive iteration, with major films undergoing dozens of substantial revisions based on peer input. The process contributed directly to Pixar's remarkable innovation track record of producing successful films across evolving animation technologies and storytelling approaches. Catmull and Wallace. 2014. Embedding continuous learning in work processes. Traditional learning models separate work from learning through periodic training events. Adaptive organizations instead embed learning directly into daily work processes, making every activity a potential learning opportunity. This approach recognizes that the most powerful learning occurs through immediate application and reflection on real-work challenges rather than abstract instruction. Kolb. 1984. Learning integrated work systems generate 40 to 60% higher skill development rates and 25 to 35% faster capability building than traditional training-centric approaches. Bursin. 2019. The efficiency stems from eliminating transfer gaps between classroom and application, providing immediate performance feedback, and distributing learning across time rather than concentrating it in intensive events that exceed cognitive load limits. Mechanisms for embedding learning in work include after action reviews structured reflection immediately following significant projects, decisions or events to surface lessons while memory remains fresh, learning sprints short, intensive periods, 1 to 2 weeks, focused on developing specific capabilities needed for upcoming work, expert shadowing and rotation temporary assignments working alongside experts to transfer tacit knowledge difficult to codify, community of practice facilitation regular forums where practitioners facing similar challenges share approaches, solutions, and lessons, real-time performance dashboards immediate feedback on key metrics enabling rapid adjustment rather than delayed learning from quarterly reviews, documentation as learning capturing approaches, rationale, and outcomes in accessible formats that create organizational memory, peer coaching networks structured relationships where individuals help each other develop capabilities through mutual observation and feedback. Intuit, the financial software company, exemplifies work-integrated learning through its design for delight innovation methodology, rather than separating innovation training from product development. Intuit embeds customer empathy research, rapid experimentation, and data-driven iteration directly into product teams' workflows. Product managers and engineers conduct customer observations, run small experiments testing assumptions, and analyze results within their normal work rhythm rather than in separate innovation projects. This integration enabled Intuit to maintain innovation velocity despite increasing organizational scale, launching successful new products like TurboTax Live and QuickBooks Online while incumbent competitors struggle to adapt. Dyer et al. 2019. Building comprehensive well-being infrastructure. Well-being infrastructure encompasses the organizational policies, resources, and cultural norms that enable employees to maintain physical health, psychological well-being, and work-life integration, rather than treating well-being as individual responsibility with occasional corporate support. Comprehensive infrastructure systematically removes well-being barriers and actively promotes flourishing. Robertson and Cooper. 2011. Organizations with comprehensive well-being infrastructure demonstrate 28% higher workforce productivity, 41% lower absenteeism, 24% lower turnover, and healthcare costs 20 to 30% below industry averages. Gallup. 2020. These outcomes reflect well-being's enabling function. Healthy, energized employees possess greater cognitive capacity, emotional regulation, and physical stamina for adaptive work. Components of comprehensive well-being infrastructure include flexible work arrangements autonomy over when Where and how work occurs, accommodating diverse personal circumstances and energy patterns. Workload management systems. Proactive monitoring and rebalancing to prevent chronic overload, including norms around communication boundaries and recovery time. Mental health support. Accessible counseling services, stress management resources, and manager training to recognize and respond supportively to psychological distress. Physical health promotion. On-site or subsidized fitness, healthy food options, ergonomic workspaces, and movement encouragement. Financial well-being programs. Education, planning assistance and emergency support addressing the financial stress that impairs cognitive function and job performance. Social connection facilitation. Structured opportunities for relationship building and community, countering isolation and strengthening support networks. Recovery time protection. Adequate vacation policies with cultural encouragement to fully disconnect, recognizing that sustained performance requires restoration cycles. Johnson & Johnson pioneered comprehensive well-being infrastructure beginning in the 1990s through its Live for Life program, which evolved into the company's broader culture of health. The program integrates health risk assessments, personalized coaching, environmental modifications promoting movement and healthy eating, stress management resources, and cultural expectations around work-life balance. Rigorous evaluation demonstrated return on investment exceeding 2.7:1 through reduced healthcare costs and absenteeism, while also supporting J&J's capacity to sustain innovation across pharmaceutical, medical device, and consumer health businesses through multiple industry disruptions. Henke et al. 2011. Aligning purpose across organizational levels. Purpose, the organization's fundamental reason for existence beyond profit generation, provides motivational energy and strategic coherence essential for sustained adaptation. Quinn and Thaker. 2018. Purpose answers why the organization's work matters, creating meaning that motivates discretionary effort, guides decision-making during ambiguity, and maintains identity through transformation. Purpose-driven organizations achieve 30% higher innovation rates, 40% higher workforce retention, and outperform competitors financially by 42% over 10 years. Gartenberg et al. 2019. These outcomes emerge through multiple mechanisms. Purpose attracts talent aligned with organizational mission, provides intrinsic motivation sustaining effort through setbacks, guides resource allocation when multiple opportunities compete, and creates stakeholder trust enabling collaboration. Approaches to purpose alignment include purpose discovery and articulation. Collaborative processes surfacing the organization's distinctive contribution to stakeholders. Avoiding generic platitudes. Strategy purpose integration. Explicit connection between strategic priorities and purpose fulfillment. Ensuring purpose guides rather than merely decorates strategy. Local purpose translation. Teams and individuals identifying how their specific work contributes to organizational purpose. Creating personal meaning. Decision-making criteria. Using purpose alignment as explicit evaluation factor in resource allocation. Product development and strategic choices. Performance metrics beyond profit. Measuring impact on purpose-related outcomes alongside financial performance. Making purpose achievement visible. Storytelling and narrative. Regular sharing of concrete examples where organizational work fulfilled purpose. Making abstract meaning tangible. Stakeholder engagement. Direct interaction with beneficiaries of organizational work. Strengthening emotional connection to purpose. Novo Nordisk. The Danish pharmaceutical company demonstrates sustained purpose alignment driving adaptive capacity. The company's purpose, defeat diabetes and other serious chronic diseases, directly guides strategic decisions. R&D investment and market expansion. When evaluating potential product acquisitions or new markets, Novo Nordisk explicitly assesses purpose alignment alongside financial returns. This purpose clarity enabled the company to maintain innovation focus during multiple industry disruptions, including the shift from animal-derived to synthetic insulin, the emergence of GLP-1 therapies, and expansion into digital health solutions. Employees consistently report that purpose connection sustains their engagement through the long development timelines pharmaceutical innovation requires. Quinn and Thaker. 2018. Developing distributed leadership capabilities. Traditional hierarchical leadership models concentrate decision-making authority and adaptation responsibility at organizational peaks, creating bottlenecks that slow response to distributed environmental changes. Adaptive organizations instead cultivate leadership capabilities throughout the organization, enabling rapid, contextually appropriate responses wherever change emerges. Wellbeing et al. 2007. Distributed leadership doesn't eliminate formal authority but complements it with leadership behaviors, sense-making, influence, learning facilitation, initiative-taking, performed by individuals regardless of formal position. Organizations with distributed leadership demonstrate 35 to 50% faster response times to market shifts and 25 to 40% higher employee engagement than those relying solely on hierarchical leadership. Worley and Lawler. 2010. Mechanisms for developing distributed leadership include leadership competency democratization training in decision-making, influence, change management, and coaching available to all employees rather than reserved for managers. Rotating leadership roles. Temporary leadership of projects or initiatives based on relevant expertise rather than hierarchical position. Transparent information access. Sharing strategic context, performance data and environmental intelligence broadly to enable informed initiative taking. Delegated decision authority. Pushing decisions to those closest to relevant information and customer impact rather than escalating to management. Cross-functional collaboration structures. Teams spanning organizational boundaries requiring peer influence rather than relying on hierarchical authority. Leadership from anywhere recognition. Explicitly celebrating leadership contributions by individual contributors, reinforcing that leadership isn't synonymous with management. Safe to fail experimentation. Permission to initiate small-scale experiments without extensive approvals. Accelerating learning cycles. L. Gore and Associates, manufacturer of Gore-Tex and numerous other products, operates through radically distributed leadership embodied in its lattice organizational structure. Rather than fixed hierarchies, Gore uses fluid, self-organizing teams where leadership emerges based on expertise, followership, and project needs. Any associate can champion initiatives and recruit colleagues to pursue them. Formal approval isn't required for small experiments. Compensation and recognition flow from peer assessment of contribution rather than hierarchical evaluation. This distributed leadership enabled Gore to sustain innovation across diverse product categories from electronics to medical devices to fabrics, rapidly forming and dissolving teams as opportunities emerge and evolve. Hamill. 2007. Creating capability building ecosystems. Adaptive organizations recognize that required capabilities often don't reside internally and may not yet exist anywhere, necessitating ecosystem approaches that leverage external partners, universities, customers, and even competitors for collaborative capability development. Teese. 2007. Ecosystems accelerate learning by accessing diverse knowledge sources and distributing development costs and risks. Organizations actively participating in capability ecosystems achieve 30 to 45% faster competency development in emerging domains and 25 to 40% higher innovation output than those relying solely on internal development. Bersin. 2019. The benefit stems from accessing expertise, perspectives, and resources unavailable internally while avoiding the "not invented here" syndrome that impedes learning. Ecosystem approaches to capability building include university partnerships collaborative research relationships providing access to emerging knowledge and talent pipelines, industry consortia pre-competitive collaboration on shared capability challenges. Distributing costs while accelerating sector-wide learning, customer co-creation joint development processes that build customer-facing capabilities while ensuring market relevance, talent exchange programs temporary assignment of employees to partners, suppliers, or customers to develop contextual understanding and networks, open innovation platforms structured processes for receiving and evaluating external ideas, technologies, or solutions, startup acquisition and incubation accessing entrepreneurial innovation and talent while providing resources for rapid scaling, cross-sector learning deliberately importing practices from unrelated industries to challenge assumptions and introduce novel approaches. Procter & Gamble transformed innovation capability through its Connect Plus Develop ecosystem approach after recognizing that even with 500 internal researchers, most relevant expertise existed externally. P&G created systematic processes for identifying capability needs, scouting external solutions globally, and integrating external innovations with internal development. The ecosystem approach enabled P&G to sustain innovation productivity despite intensifying competition and fragmenting markets. With more than 50% of innovations now incorporating significant external contributions. The model proved especially valuable during rapid adaptation to e-commerce and digital marketing, where P&G leveraged technology partners rather than attempting to build all capabilities internally. Huston and Sackab. 2006. Building long-term adaptive capacity establishing learning systems architecture. Sustainable adaptive capacity requires moving beyond individual learning interventions toward integrated learning systems architecture, the interconnected structures, processes, technologies, and cultural norms that continuously convert experience into improved organizational capability. Garvin et al. 2008. Systems architecture ensures learning becomes self-reinforcing rather than requiring constant management attention. Effective learning systems architecture includes several interconnected elements. Knowledge capture mechanisms systematically document insights, approaches, and lessons from projects, customer interactions, and failures, preventing knowledge loss through turnover or time. Distribution channels make captured knowledge accessible when and where needed, using technology to overcome traditional knowledge transfer barriers. Application incentives reward knowledge utilization and contribution, aligning individual motivation with organizational learning. Feedback loops measure learning system effectiveness and continuously improve learning processes themselves. Argote. 2013. Organizations with mature learning systems achieve 50 to 70% higher knowledge retention through workforce transitions and 35 to 50% faster new employee productivity compared to organizations relying on informal knowledge transfer. Bersin. 2019. The efficiency gains compound over time as organizational memory accumulates and becomes more accessible. Critical design principles for learning systems architecture include Workflow integration *. Embedding learning in daily processes rather than separate activities. Social learning emphasis *. Recognizing that most valuable learning occurs through peer interaction rather than formal instruction. Just-in-time access *. Providing learning resources at moments of need rather than in advance. Personalization *. Tailoring content and delivery to individual contexts and preferences. Measurement discipline *. Tracking learning activity, capability development, and performance impact to guide system improvement. The Cleveland Clinic exemplifies learning systems architecture in healthcare through its integration of knowledge capture, peer learning, and performance improvement. The clinic systematically documents clinical approaches, outcomes, and innovations through its electronic health record system, making best practices visible across departments and locations. Regular morbidity and mortality conferences create protected time for case-based learning from both successes and adverse events. Shared governance structures distribute improvement authority to frontline clinicians who identify opportunities and lead changes. This learning architecture enabled the Cleveland Clinic to sustain clinical quality improvements and innovation in care delivery models despite healthcare's increasing complexity and cost pressures. Cosgrove et al. 2013. Integrating well-being into organizational design. Sustainable well-being requires architectural integration, designing work itself to support rather than undermine health, rather than relying primarily on programs helping employees cope with inherently unhealthy work conditions. Grant et al. 2007. Organizational design integration addresses well-being at source through job characteristics, team structures, workflow patterns, and physical environments. Job design represents the primary leverage point. Research demonstrates that jobs offering autonomy, skill variety, task significance, and regular feedback generate substantially higher well-being and performance than routine, narrowly defined roles. Hackman and Oldham, 1976. Adaptive capacity particularly benefits from autonomous work design because adaptation inherently involves discretionary effort and contextual judgment that rigid roles suppress. Effective integration approaches include role crafting permissions allowing employees to modify task boundaries and relationships to align with strengths and interests. Team-based structures leveraging social support and collective efficacy that protect against stress. Rhythm and recovery design building work cycles that alternate intensity with restoration rather than demanding sustained peak effort. Choice architecture defaults and nudges promoting healthy behaviors without restricting autonomy. Feedback richness transparent performance information enabling autonomy without uncertainty. The Container Store, a retail organization, demonstrates well-being integration through organizational design. Rather than narrowly defined retail jobs, the company uses generalist roles where employees engage in merchandising, customer consultation, inventory management, and problem-solving based on customer needs. Extensive training, 263 hours for first-year employees versus retail industry averages of 8 to 10 hours, builds competence supporting autonomy. Compensation 50 to 100% above retail norms reduces financial stress while signaling value. Scheduling practices provide consistency and flexibility unusual in retail. This integrated design enables sustained workforce engagement and adaptation to evolving retail landscapes including e-commerce competition. With employee turnover approximately 10% annually compared to retail industry averages exceeding 60%, Cascio. 2006. Evolving purpose in response to environmental shifts while core purpose provides stability and coherence. Adaptive organizations recognize that purpose expression must evolve as stakeholder needs, societal expectations, and competitive contexts shift. Static purpose eventually becomes disconnected from reality, losing motivational power. Purpose evolution involves maintaining fundamental identity while adapting how purpose manifests in strategy, products, and practices. Cantor, 2009. Purpose evolution creates particular leadership challenges. Leaders must distinguish core purpose, the enduring why, from strategic manifestations that should adapt. They must engage stakeholders in co-creating purpose evolution rather than imposing changes that feel inauthentic. They must balance continuity and change, avoiding both rigid adherence to outdated expressions and directionless drift. Asterisk approaches to purpose evolution include regular stakeholder dialogue systematic engagement with employees, customers, communities, and partners to understand how needs and expectations evolve, environmental scanning for purpose implications monitoring societal trends, emerging issues, and competitive movements for purpose relevance challenges, purpose stress testing evaluating whether current purpose expression guides strategic decisions effectively or has become disconnected from actual choices, narrative updating refreshing stories and examples illustrating purpose fulfillment to reflect current context rather than historical achievements, intergenerational purpose dialogue explicit conversation between organizational cohorts about purpose. Meaning. Surfacing generational perspective differences, purpose strategy alignment reviews periodic examination of whether strategy genuinely advances purpose or has drifted toward disconnected opportunism. Microsoft demonstrates purpose evolution maintaining core identity while adapting expression. The company's implicit original purpose centered on democratizing computing through personal computer software. As computing paradigms shifted from PCs to mobile devices, cloud infrastructure, and AI, this purpose expression risked obsolescence. Under CEO Satya Nadella's leadership beginning in 2014, Microsoft evolved its purpose to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, maintaining the democratization theme while expanding beyond PC-centric technology. This evolution guided strategic shifts including cloud platform prioritization, open source embrace, and AI capability development, while maintaining employee connection to Microsoft's fundamental mission. Nadella. 2017. Cultivating organizational resilience through integration. The ultimate expression of adaptive capacity is organizational resilience, the ability to anticipate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from disruption while potentially emerging stronger through learning. Lengnick Hall and Beck. 2005. Resilience emerges specifically from integrating learning, well-being, and purpose rather than addressing them separately. Integration creates reinforcing cycles. Learning builds competence that reduces stress and enhances well-being. Well-being provides the cognitive and emotional resources sustained learning requires. Purpose supplies motivation energizing both learning and well-being maintenance. Together, these elements generate resilient systems capable of sustained adaptation. Sutcliffe and Vogus. 2003. Organizations demonstrating resilience through integration share several characteristics. They maintain resource slack surplus capacity in budgets, time, and people, enabling rapid response without constant optimization that eliminates adaptive reserves. They cultivate cognitive diversity ensuring varied perspectives that detect weak signals and generate creative solutions. They practice small-scale experimentation building adaptive muscles through continuous small challenges rather than waiting for crises. They develop trust networks internally and externally, creating social capital enabling rapid coordination during disruption. Resilience investment paradoxically enhances rather than compromises efficiency over time. While slack resources appear wasteful, they prevent catastrophic failures requiring expensive recovery. While learning time seems to reduce short-term productivity, it prevents costly mistakes and accelerates improvement. While well-being infrastructure represents current costs, it avoids far larger healthcare, turnover, and productivity losses. While purpose work appears abstract, it reduces coordination costs and motivates discretionary effort. The U.S. Marine Corps exemplifies resilience through learning well-being purpose integration despite operating in extremely high-stress conditions. The Corps invests extensively in distributed leadership development, empowering small unit leaders to adapt to rapidly changing battlefield conditions. Realistic training builds both competence and stress inoculation, enhancing psychological resilience. Strong unit cohesion and peer support protect mental health during and after deployment. Clear mission purpose, defending national interests and protecting fellow Marines, provides motivation sustaining effort through extreme adversity. This integration enables the Marines to maintain operational effectiveness across diverse, unpredictable environments while managing the well-being challenges military service inherently creates. Maddy et al. 2012. Conclusion. Organizational survival in an era of permanent turbulence increasingly depends on adaptive capacity, the ability to sense environmental shifts, generate novel responses, and reconfigure resources rapidly while maintaining coherence and performance. This adaptive capacity emerges specifically from integrating three organizational capabilities: continuous learning systems that convert experience into improved practice, comprehensive well-being infrastructure that maintains the human resources adaptation demands, and shared purpose that provides motivational energy and strategic coherence during ambiguity. The evidence demonstrates that organizations excelling across these dimensions achieve measurably superior outcomes, including 25 to 50% higher innovation rates, 30–40% faster response to disruption, 20 to 30% lower turnover, and long-term financial performance substantially exceeding competitors. These benefits accrue not from isolated programs but from systemic integration, creating reinforcing cycles where learning enhances well-being. Well-being enables learning, and purpose energizes both. Building this integrated adaptive capacity requires moving beyond programmatic interventions toward architectural changes in how organizations operate. Psychological safety must become embedded in leadership practices and team norms, not delivered through occasional workshops. Learning must integrate into daily work processes rather than occurring in separate training events. Well-being must inform job design, workflow patterns, and organizational structures rather than being addressed primarily through coping programs. Purpose must guide strategic decisions and resource allocation rather than existing mainly in communications. For practitioners, several actionable priorities emerge. First, assess current learning, well-being, and purpose capabilities holistically, identifying both strengths and gaps across these interconnected domains. Second, invest in psychological safety as the foundational enabler of learning and adaptation, recognizing that without interpersonal risk tolerance, other interventions will generate limited impact. Third, embed learning, well-being, and purpose into organizational architecture, job designs, performance systems, resource allocation processes, rather than treating them as add-on programs. Fourth, cultivate distributed leadership capabilities throughout the organization, enabling rapid adaptation wherever environmental changes emerge. Fifth, develop external ecosystem relationships that accelerate capability development and extend adaptive capacity beyond organizational boundaries. The adaptive imperative is not temporary. Environmental turbulence will intensify rather than abate given accelerating technological change. Climate disruption, geopolitical fragmentation, and demographic shifts. Organizations investing now in integrated learning, well-being, and purpose capabilities are building foundations for sustained relevance and impact. Those treating these domains as discretionary human resource initiatives rather than strategic imperatives risk the gradual, then sudden, erosion of competitive position and organizational viability. The choice facing organizational leaders is not whether to build adaptive capacity but whether to build it proactively and systematically or reactively and frantically.